Thank you very much, Mr. Stringer. It's a pleasure to serve under your chairmanship. And I would also like to thank my honourable friend, the member for Don Valley, for leading this debate. Now, at the outset, I will have to say that I fully support the sentiments of both the petitions today, but I'm going to primarily speak about the petition referring to the desire for an amendment of the GLA Act 1999 to remove the Mayor of London's power to impose road user charges. Now, this has, of course, been brought into very sharp focus by the Mayor of London's decision late last year to move forward with the expansion of the ultra-low emission zone to the Greater London boundary, a policy which I've spoken to the House of a number of times before. My Orpington constituents are part of the London Borough of Bromley. The London Borough of Bromley will be impacted by this decision, and my constituents are overwhelmingly opposed to the expanded ULEZ, which they see quite rightly as a tax-grabbing scheme to fill the holes in Transport for London's finances. Moreover, it is a tax-grabbing scheme misleadingly dressed up as an environmental measure. Now, despite a growing clamour and loud discontent, the Mayor is continuing with its implementation. Indeed, the Mayor has effectively made a mockery of the public consultation on his plans by ignoring the fact that it showed that over 60% of those consulted were against the scheme, including 70% of those living in outer London. Documents obtained under Freedom of Information Act have revealed that TfL began ordering hundreds of the number plate recognition systems required for the expanded ULEZ in April of 2022, a full month before the public consultation had even started. Further documents obtained by the London Assembly Conservative Group show that the Mayor's office, having been briefed that the vast majority of consultation responses coming in were opposed to the expansion, then attempted to influence the outcome by targeting an advertising campaign at particular groups of people who were more likely to respond favourably. There also appears to be a strong indication that City Hall attempted to suppress responses from certain individuals in order to make the outcome appear closer than it was. Now, I believe it's completely clear that the Mayor was never interested in any opinion that did not concur with his own, including that of my constituents. Time and time again, he has shown himself to be entirely unrepentant in his determination to impose prohibitively high extra costs on Londoners. Orpington simply doesn't have the public transport alternatives that exist in central London. We don't have the tube. We don't have trams. We have a bus network which is far from comprehensive and is unreliable. We have country lanes, we have farms, we have hedgerows. It's a very vast place. People need their cars to get around. My inbox and postbag has been full of messages from people who are desperately worried because they own a non-compliant vehicle and can afford neither the daily charge nor the cost of a replacement vehicle. For some, the expansion will simply mean that they are not able to drive anymore. Indeed, a TfL-commissioned report by the Jacobs Consultancy, that was referred to by my honourable friend, the member for Chipping Barnet, was published in May 2022, and it warned of a disproportionate impact on low-income households due to their lesser capacity to switch to a compliant vehicle and or to change mode. Now, the Labour Party likes to hector everybody about the cost of living, but this scheme is by one of their own mayors, and it's hitting people on low incomes the most because they are more likely to have an older vehicle. Yeah. Elderly constituents have written to me distraught about how they may no longer be able to go out to do their weekly shop or to see family and friends because they cannot afford to drive their cars. They are terrified of isolation. They have survived the pandemic. They may not survive this. Single traders have told me that they will no longer be able to operate. Social care workers have told me that they will have to leave the profession. My local higher education college has told me that the impact on large numbers of their staff will be devastating. And I must agree with small business owners who are rightfully complaining that after the pandemic, the ULEZ charge is a crippling additional cost that they just do not need at this time. Restaurants and venues within the ULEZ will see a reduction in footfall. And the Mayor clearly fails to grasp that if you are a painter and decorator, a builder or a tree surgeon, you cannot take your tools up and down escalators and compete for space on public transport. To add insult to injury, the scheme may close businesses in Orpington. One of my constituents recently told me that he will have to give up his business because it is no longer viable if he is forced either to buy a new vehicle or to pay £12.50 every day. And that is the reality of the situation. Businesses closed, family visits severely restricted, workers worse off. And all of this is about to be imposed by the Mayor of London at a time where cost of living is increasing. It is this arrogance and total disregard for the great difficulties which will be imposed on less affluent people that is driving my constituents to despair, and it is entirely unnecessary. The Mayor's own independent... Yes, happily give way to my honourable friend.
I'm very grateful to my honourable friend for giving way. He's making an excellent speech. Does he share my surprise that when challenged on this in the London Assembly, the answer to those worried about the cost of living from a Labour London Assembly member was, go and buy a new car, it will only cost £3,000?
I would like to say that I am surprised by that answer, but I'm afraid I'm not. It shows comprehensively the lack of grip of some of the people making the decisions that we are talking about. And I would remind members in the room that every single member of the Labour group on the London Assembly voted in favour of this when they had the opportunity to stop it. Every single member of the Liberal Democrats voted in favour of this when they had the opportunity to stop it. And every single member of the Green group on the London Assembly voted in favour of it when they had the opportunity to stop it. The Mayor's own independently produced London-wide ULEZ integrated impact assessment stated that, and I quote, "The proposed scheme is estimated to have a minor, NO2, to negligible, PM2.5, impact on exposure to air pollution. Asthma UK have Bromley and Havering ranked as the second and first, respectively, boroughs in terms of the cleanest air quality in the capital. So why should my constituents have the ULEZ imposed on them in this way? Improving air quality sounds great on paper and might earn the Mayor of London brownie points from rich Labour donors who finance anti-democratic pressure groups like Just Stop Oil. But the reality is that this scheme will change little in terms of air quality. Mr. Stringer, devolution, as personified in the form of elected metro mayors, has created a form of electoral dictatorship in certain regions of the country. Most of the metro mayors have almost no elected scrutiny of their actions at all, and no local checks on their power. In London, the London Assembly has done valuable work to scrutinise the mayor, but in practice, it is a toothless tiger in terms of being able to check his power. The expanded ULEZ will do little to improve air quality, but it seems likely to go ahead because the mayor and local authorities have the power to create clean air zones, even if they are flawed. And I believe this power needs urgent review. Section 143 of the GLA Act 1999 does appear to offer hope to my constituents because, on the face of it, it seems to give the Secretary of State for Transport the power to direct the Mayor of London with regard to his transport strategy under certain conditions. However, I am aware that Department for Transport lawyers apparently see this as a grey area. So let's put the issue beyond doubt. Let us do the right thing. Let us agree with the petitioners and seek to remove the power of mayors and local authorities to unilaterally impose these charges.